What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping back in with some weekly Destiny 2 news, because it's time for the TWAB, Bungie's weekly update, and today we get details on reputation system reworks and tuning for Witch Queen in Year 5, so there are some interesting details there. Plus they speak about updates to security systems and some technical adjustments, like HDR enhancements. And additionally, we got a new update to Destiny 2 today, so we'll round that up as well. And if you guys enjoy the video, be sure to get subscribed to the channel so I can keep you up to date. But now, let's get into it. Starting out today, we should highlight Bungie's most recent teaser for the Witch Queen expansion. They've been dropping these very short trailers, and we get another one today with some words from Mara Sov, so let's take a look.
I have my methods. You have yours. I only ask that you trust me.
Pretty cool stuff, and I'm sure there'll be more of them to come, as well as longer reveal trailers in the next few weeks. But now though, as we get into the TWAB, they speak about rituals, Vanguard, and the Crucible, and they say we have more than a few interesting changes on the horizon, including updates for ritual reputations, trials, and those oddly satisfying nightfalls. When reviewing player feedback, it was clear that a few tweaks were necessary, including the evolution of Vanguard ops. And here's where we are right now. They say, looking at the data for Season 15, Guardians were approaching the new Vanguard ranks differently than what our models initially assumed. According to our findings, players were running more Vanguard strikes than anticipated, and were optimizing for the new activity streak at a lower rate as well. We used the data from Season of the Lost to adjust the model to be more accurate with actual behavior, and then retuned everything to bring the average gain more in line with Crucible. So for Season 16, expect increased Vanguard reputation on completion, activity streak amounts, nightfall multipliers, and nightfall completion quality bonuses. And Vanguard reputation gain should be approximately twice as fast for most players, with the ability to optimize even faster by playing higher difficulty nightfalls and utilizing the activity streak more. So they're going to give a buff to Vanguard reputation essentially, and we're going to get more of it. And they say similarly, Trials of Osiris was about 30% slower than anticipated, while not having an accelerated gain when higher ranks are achieved. And we also felt like they were not valuing winning rounds enough, especially players getting to 20 round wins and 7 ticket wins. And we've added a small amount of Trials reputation at match end for every round won in the match, which increases based on how many ticket wins a player has. At the top end, each round win awards 21 reputation, up to 105 extra reputation a match. And this ideally speeds up Trials reputation gain by 50% or more for players who do not regularly reset their ticket in an attempt to go flawless. While we were not able to give an accelerated reputation gain for higher ranks in the Witch Queen for technical reasons, look for more news on that sometime later in the year. And they also say here's a quick preview of a returning Trials reward for next season, and there's another weapon in the pipe, but we'll leave that for you to discover when Trials returns in Witch Queen. And the weapon that they show right there is the Summoner, so that one's going to be updated. And next they say, what about the things we aren't changing yet? And they say they're happy with the speed of Crucible reputation gain, although we may look at this again alongside Iron Banner vendor changes in the future. Gambit reputation gain was about 30% slower than desired, but with the Gambit revamp coming in Witch Queen, we'd like a full season to analyze playstyles and patterns before making any changes. More details on that in a future TWAB. And they say we're not currently making any changes to activity streak systems or the placement of ritual weapon ornaments. We've heard feedback on it and don't believe it's currently meeting our design goals. It's intended to feel like a nice bonus for dedicated players, but rarely feel critical. And right now it can sometimes feel too punishing to leave a ritual playlist, but this is being partially driven by Gambit and Vanguard reputations moving slower than intended, combined with the ornaments being on the second reset. So we want to see how the tweaks to Vanguard rep changes playstyle and hourly gain before we make any changes across the board. And on top of this, they finish by saying that starting in Witch Queen, when double ranks or rewards are active, the associated activities will have a modifier on the launch screen to remind players. So the game will give a better indication that those boosts are active. Next though, they speak about Vanguard Ops, and they say, as we discussed in an earlier TWAB, Season 13's Battlegrounds activities have been added to the Vanguard Strikes playlist, and this playlist has been renamed Vanguard Ops. And those Battlegrounds will include Behemoth, Oracle, Hailstone, and Foothold. And they say the actual Battlegrounds activities are the direct launch no champion version of the Battleground, as these match the length and difficulty of most strikes in the playlist. And any bounties, quests, triumphs, or challenges used to reference strikes will now reference Vanguard Ops instead. I'm definitely curious to see what they're going to do with those battlegrounds. Hopefully there's a bit more to it, as opposed to it simply being replaying battlegrounds and getting Vanguard rep. Maybe some unique rewards. Give us your thoughts below. And next they say they've been slowly iterating on the pressures and challenges we apply at each of the Nightfall difficulty ranks. One big outlier was the strike-specific modifiers with damage boosts and other effects that enhanced boss attacks. And they say while some of them were cool and fun, they were generally inconsistent and were pushing tactical play more than the intended build crafting. So we've removed these from Nightfall starting at Hero, and we also added a new style of burn called Acute, which will increase player damage taken from a specific element by 50% and increase player damage done by 25%. And most Nightfalls already had a 25% damage received modifier, so this will be an across-the-board increase of 25% in both directions for that element. So some slight adjustments to difficulty there. And they say secondly, they're moving the seasonal strike modifiers that were introduced in Season 15 from the Vanguard playlists to Nightfalls. These unique buffs and boosts that aid you if you lean into the correct themes of combat for Season 15 will be themed to glaive and void usage. These will rotate weekly and appear on all Hero, Legend and Master Nightfalls. And on top of that, they say here's a quick preview of some sweet loot that you'll be able to earn from Nightfalls next season. Look familiar, and of course, I believe right there we have the Silicon Neuroma and the duty-bound auto rifle, which were previously strike drops from Savathun Song and the Pyramidion, if I'm not mistaken. Been a couple of years since we had access to those, and hopefully we'll get a bunch of new stuff for those Vanguard playlists as well. So share your thoughts below. And here for Lost Sectors, they say, when we introduced the Legend and Master Lost Sectors in Beyond Light, we were forced to split the daily Legend and Master Lost Sector locations. But thanks to new tech for Witch Queen, the limitation is removed, and there's now a single daily Lost Sector, which has both Legend and Master difficulties available at the same time, selectable at the entrance, and both difficulties will give the same exotic reward, which possibly is going to result in fewer exotic drops being able to be obtained on a daily basis by the looks of it, as we'll only have one feature reward. And so give us your thoughts about those changes, a whole bunch of different kind of updates. As we've said with other news about Witch Queen, there probably is more to the picture, we certainly hope so, but let us know what you think below. And next they speak about some HDR changes launching next month with Witch Queen as well. So for Windows 10 and up, windowed HDR is now supported, and they say players must have the in-game HDR option enabled, plus there are some other notes if you plan to use that, so I'll link to add below. But also, windowed full screen should provide the same or better performance compared to exclusive full screen for Windows 10 and up. So windowed full screen will be a more legitimate option, and then screenshots will now be supported when playing in HDR on PC. And there will be a new HDR calibration UI to adjust settings, and we can see a preview of that right here. On top of that, they say HDR calibration settings have been updated with a friendlier functionality to accommodate the wide range of HDR display capabilities and viewing environments. But also the calibration settings are no longer stored account-wide, and old settings have been reset. They will also now be stored per platform, and SDR brightness settings will no longer affect the game when playing in HDR. And so if you're after better options for HDR, they will be landing in February. And finally in TWAB, they talk about security, and they say with the launch of Season 15, the Bungie Product Security Organization began utilizing BattlEye Security Suite. And we're pleased to say that this system has provided us with a monumental leap forward in our ability to monitor attacks, and it effectively prevents many actions from those who attempt to harm Bungie's goal of building a community around our game. And they say in December, they began a survey of risky behaviors that they felt were mitigated by BattlEye. Based on the review, we've identified 68 players that were banned in association with the use of the process hacker since August 21. And of those, 61 players were identified as having no other indicators that they were attempting to attack Destiny 2. So those players were unbanned as of January 24th. And we expect this not to be the last time that they unban players. However, their efforts to review and improve their product security practices and methods means that the unbans will be the result of disciplined investigation and our ever-evolving understanding of the risks to Bungie. And so they're essentially saying in some of the instances where players were perhaps mistakenly flagged, they have begun unbanning accounts that they can confirm have not been cheating and stuff like that. Final mention in the TWAB though, it points out to claim these rewards before February 22nd, and that includes Bungie rewards, season pass items, Shaxx Drifter and Zavala rewards, as well as seasonal vendor rewards, gunsmith reputation items, and seasonal seals and rewards. So bear in mind any stuff from the past year, especially seasonal stuff or seasonal rewards, need to be picked up before Witch Queen, otherwise they may no longer be obtainable. Now though, moving on from the TWAB, we did get a hotfix today, and this is hotfix 3404. There are just a few little changes here, so for the Dares of Eternity, they fixed an issue causing less reputation to be rewarded than intended. So we should get the right amount of rank progress now, but for gameplay and investment and for weapons, they fixed an issue where hand cannons would have an empty magazine when first entering into an activity, and a fix for the frontal assault buff for Titans, where it wasn't reliably being added to the player if their charged melee killed the target. So a few fixes and changes to bear in mind from the patch today. A couple of final mentions here. But back in December, Bungie updated respawn timers for the Crucible, and increased timers for things like Iron Banner, as well as Control. But a couple of days back, DMG said this is being reverted, and respawn timers should have returned to what they were before the 30th anniversary launch in December. And they say that because the team had said it didn't negatively impact scores by a measurable amount, but also didn't improve player feedback on spawn areas. So it's just a quick thing to bear in mind. And finally, somebody asked about the Dares of Eternity emblem that Bungie are going to be distributing for players who played before the 18th of January. And DMG said we're working on it and we hope to have these out in a couple of weeks. And there are a lot of players that have become eligible, which is interesting. So once again, we are going to get that emblem pretty soon. And for now, guys, that's what we have to round up in the video today. So as always, I hope you've enjoyed it and found it useful. If you have, a like rating down below really does help us out on the channel. But also if you're new around here, be sure to get subscribed and I'll keep you up to date with everything related to the game. Otherwise though, for today, thanks for tuning in and I'll catch you guys very soon.